Oof. Always love the stage remod. Always sounds so good. But that's not what we're here for today. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. In my last one, I told you guys I had a brake issue. I worked on the caliper. It's been a few days. I had a busy weekend, but that also gave time for the paint to cure, so it should be good to go. Let me show you what is happening with the car. Damn, car's looking extra sexy today. Hopefully it doesn't rain. It is sunny, but also cloudy at the same time. That's gonna ruin everything because I do have to make this repair today, which is brand new rotor, replacing pretty much almost all new parts: rotor, brake caliper, and brake pads, all on the driver's side rear. See that little rust bubble? I'm not liking that, man. So these are the parts that I'll be using today. We got centric rotors. They're good rotors, best bang for the buck. This is the final product of how the brake caliper is looking. This has got the bracket. I've seen people spray paint the caliper and they always forget about these parts. Like, please mask this off, guys. It is rubber, and paint kind of destroys the rubber parts and the piston itself. Don't forget about that. Don't forget about masking it off. That's how it's looking. It did come with hardware, which is great. And here's the brake pads. Usually get anything that's ceramic. These are all the parts I'll be using today. So this is a pretty simple process. I've done this probably twice already on this car, on the driver's side rear and the passenger side rear. So I am a little disappointed on what's going on with the parts. The whole brake setup is from Stop Tech. I bought them about 3 years ago when the first year that I bought the car. I had somewhat of a brake issue in the driver's side rear on that first year, so I replaced everything brand new from Stop Tech, including the rotor, the brake pads, and the caliper on both sides. So it's not too bad because it has been 3 years. We'll see what's going on. Hopefully it's not the brake line because I didn't order that part. I know everything in there heated up, so it's a possibility that it did get damaged, but I'm going to replace these parts on this side, remove that RDX caliper cover. But for now, I do need to jack up the car and get going with the repair. So here's how it's looking. I said in a previous video, you know, the rotor is getting scored. You can actually feel grooves, so most likely the thumbs up with the brake pad. So this is the RDX brake caliper. I forget what part number it is and what year. I want to say it's like a 2012 to 16 or something. But this is just the cover, and it comes exactly like this, where it's black and then the Acura logo is gray. And it's literally just being held on with gasket maker. As you can see, gray here. When I bought the gasket maker, it actually advertised as black, but when you put it down, it's gray. Pretty sure I still have it, but it's kind of a shitty job right here, and it's not really good right here, and it's underneath right here. So it's 3 points where you would have to put the gasket maker, hold it in place with tape or something of that sort, and then just let it dry overnight. So I'm gonna have to kind of like pull it off. It should be fairly easy with some force up top and up over here. Here's how it's looking, guys. As you can tell that it was previously red and I didn't do a great job because it did start peeling, but it wasn't really that visible because it would be covered by the caliper cover anyways. So I did mention that I did put gasket maker on here with, like, you know, this part of the caliper would be. So you lay some on here, down there, down here, and down and up here. You just lay it on there and try to hold it with like tape or anything that you can think of to just hold it right there and wait a day if you can, so that it can fully dry and cure. And then you'll get this exact look. I was thinking about painting this a different color, but I do like this color scheme too much, so I'm not going to mess with it. I also took this apart, like the whole caliper, cleaned it out, cleaned the caliper pins, anything inside, and I even bled it. And I still have the issue a few days later. Like, it was running good for a couple days, and then one day at work, it just held itself. The piston just squeezed, and you would feel it, and it would be really hot. So that kind of sucks. Like I said, I'm not even sure what's going on. Hopefully the brake hose, the brake line isn't damaged. But I'm going to replace everything and hope for the best. To remove the caliper, it's just 2 bolts down back here, I think 14s. The whole thing should come off along with this one, this bolt and this bolt. To remove the rotor, you actually see this hole. There's a little mechanism in there that you just push to loosen up the e-brake system in there, and then you can pop this out. If you have trouble, just use the rotor bolts right here and right here. Should be good. And you notice that I didn't have the little screws over here because I really hate those. If they ever seize up, they are a real pain to remove. You basically have to drill this and hope for the best, because I don't like reinstalling those, just so I can have easier time removing the rotor in the future. Damn guys, I just had a hard ass time pulling the caliper out, so I guess it's frozen again. And so last time when I pushed this in, I actually pushed the caliper piston back in to reinstall the caliper. It actually pushed in fine, and usually when the calipers are frozen, like, it's really hard to push back in, but in this case it's like no leaks. Everything looks good. It's just, and I pushed the caliper back, I pushed the piston back in, no problem. So like I said, I don't even know what the issue is. Alright guys, let's check the hardware out real quick so I can show you. So this, see, that's how it compresses. That's fine, because I re-lubed it up and everything. So these aren't getting stuck. Hardware, there's nothing wrong with it, like the brackets. Look at the brake pads. They are old, you know, they're a little crusty, but you can see it's getting down there. It's still a good amount of meat left, and it's not uneven wear or anything like that. So like I said, I don't know the issue. Has been a while, about 3 years, but if you guys know what's going on, please let me know, so I can know for next time, because all this stuff is really getting me mad. So for the rotor, I already loosened it up. It's actually ready to come out right now. So just to compare the parts real quick, here's the old brake pads versus the new one. Like, it's really not that bad, besides, I guess, look at the outside. It's like, you know, a little rusty and corroded, but the life of it isn't even too bad. It's probably just half life of this, and it's really similar, if not the same thing as the other side. Really new is, look at that, it's not even that much, but as you can see from the outside, maybe it's because it's really hot, it made it turn like discoloring and all that. Here's the brackets. Brand new versus the old. Looks exactly the same way. This works the same way right there. Everything is good to go, basically. The brake pads did come with its own brackets right here, so we're not using the old ones at all. Yeah, look how rusty this is. I can't really I would love to paint it, but replacing it would be the best, but there's nothing wrong with it. It's just rusty, and I could paint it, but it would just basically flake off and everything. It's really rusty, but it's doing its job right now. As for the caliper, I'm just gonna pretty much unbolt it and bolt it to the new caliper and pretty much let it gravity bleed, which means I'm not putting pressure inside the car, pressing the brake pedal so that, you know, it can squeeze fluid out. I'm just gonna screw this on, and where the bleeder valve is, which is right here. I'm just going to crack it open a little bit, and once it starts dripping out, I do have this over here. So I am doing the one-man bleed method. I'm not really great at explaining it, but there are plenty of videos out there, and basically I'll fill this up a little bit with brake fluid. I'm going to get a turkey baster, which is right here, suck out some of the old fluid to put in here, and then put this piece on the bleeder valve so that when it's fully done gravity bleeding, I'm going to press on the brake, and it's going to shoot some brake fluid in here and basically bleed it out. Hopefully there's no air pockets or anything, and before we do start that, I'm going to turkey baste some brake fluid out and fill it up with a brand new brake fluid. So here's the old caliper ready to be removed. Like I said before, I'm going to unbolt this, and it's going to slowly drip, and I have a container to catch any extra brake fluid that's going to fall. Bolt it on to the new caliper and actually let break loose this so that it can gravity bleed, and then when I'm ready, I do have this all set ready to go with the dirty brake fluid that's in there. Pretty gross, but let's get going with this. So replacing it was pretty straightforward. I just had to unbolt it like I said before. Went pretty smooth. Besides this, instead of a 14, now it's 12. It is brand new hardware, and broke this open, which was a 10 millimeter, the bleeder valve. So waiting for it to gravity bleed, and while I'm waiting for that, I'm going to be cleaning off the new rotor and putting that on. Just comparing the old one to the new one real quick. Here's the old one, of course, and here's the new one from Centric. I actually forgot that I bought a black coated one. It actually looks really sick, I'm not gonna lie. Like this hat is, and the edge of it is coated. Oh, along with the backside, nice. Don't forget, guys, make sure you clean both front and back of the rotor, because they do coat it in grease or oil or whatever it is, so that it doesn't rust up while it's in storage or shipped out. Got the bracket on with the new clips, and I got the brake pads here, and I learned this from Eric the car guy, where you put on a little anti-seize where it meets, like where basically metal touches each other, and the anti-seize right here acts kind of like a lubricant, but also prevents it from rusting up and being unable to slide because of that rust. So this is how I have it set up. I got 10 millimeter here to break open that bleeder valve. This is connected on. I might need something to actually help hold it in place. I might need a zip tie or something. It'll go up, and you have to make sure it's actually going up and then down first into the bottle. The hose is already all the way down there. So once I break it a little more open and press on the brake, it's actually going to start bleeding out a little bit and then going inside that bottle. We should, if there is any air, oh, we actually see it gravity bleeding right now. Hopefully it's not dripping anywhere in there. there is a small chance that it will leak right here where the threads are, but right now I don't really see any issue. As you can see, slowly gravity bleeding out. I do have to make sure I keep the brake fluid topped off. That's pretty much it for the one-man bleeder job. Do have to get in the car and pump the brakes a couple times, get new brake fluid inside the caliper. Here it is, all set. And that's pretty much it for the one-man bleeder method. We got the cap on, tighten this up, and it's actually good to go. Here's how it's looking right here, the bottle. As before, like I said, we started off at I think right here, and we bled out that much, all dirty as you can see. It's still some in the system that's dirty, but at least we got new fluid in. And 100% make sure to top this off. And if you get air in the system, you pretty much have to bleed all 4 brakes again. So please don't do that, guys. So I was going to reinstall the RDX brake caliper, but I'm not going to do that yet. But like I said, it's actually really easy to install. Basically just use some gasket maker. And you're going to put it some right here, right down here, and some right here. And you just basically put it on like that. Get something to hold it. Last time I used masking tape. Just basically wrapped it around with the masking tape and held it on there overnight, and then just peeled it off in the morning, and then it was good to go. So I'm going to leave that for another day and come back in a couple days, drive it around for a couple days, and make sure this is good. I already tested the e-brake. This slides like that normally, and then when you pull up the e-brake, let me show you guys. We'll pull up the e-brake, come back over here, and it doesn't move at all. So e-brake is good. Brake setup should be good. I'm going to test drive it for a little bit, but I got to put the wheel back on before it rains. It's starting to get mighty dark, so I got to finish up quick. Oh man, super sweaty. It's about to rain right now, I can tell, because the clouds are really dark. But I think repair is successful. So before, when I started driving and I would pull up to a stop sign or stop light, even going like 1 mile per hour, I wasn't on the brake and the car would stop by itself. Or if I was on a hill, I wouldn't move, and the e-brake isn't up, and the brake itself, I'm not even pressing it, and it wouldn't move. So you know there's a brake issue there. So now when I just drove it about 5 miles per hour and tested out just like before, I'm still rolling, so that's good. I think the repair is complete, and all the stuff that I replaced fixed the issue, hopefully. So I'm actually going to reverse a little bit. So I am moving right now, and I actually have to brake, because before it would actually just brake by itself. Now it's good, although it did happen off and on intermittently, like I said. So hopefully I fixed everything, fingers crossed. That about wraps it up, guys. Hey, if any of you pro mechanics out there see me doing something wrong, feel free to let me know in the comments. I'm always willing to learn. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace. Oh snap, guys, I actually forgot one of the brackets. Let me show you. This one right here. Whoops. Definitely forgot that. So I had to take the wheel back off and take these 2 bolts off, open it up, and then install this. Don't be like me, guys.